हमारी जो friendships हैं वो बहुत fake friendships हैं both of us.
Yeah, my secrets are really bad.
To ask someone who's very successful this question makes sense, saying what will make us happier? After 40 years, it's very hard to start making new friends.
I don't expect anything more than I'm willing to give.
If I fight with you, what are you expecting? Friends with benefits. He's one of my best friends with benefits. Only the
Just not
benefits.
the kind that you're thinking.
Oh, Rajeev. I forgot. पहले तुमको हिंदी में बात करनी मैं हमेशा भूल जाता हूँ.
Oh dear.
Welcome to the Big Pucchi Podcast.
ये आपने मुझे पहले नहीं बताया, अब बहुत मुश्किल होने वाली है.
You know, Rajeev and I, we've been friends together for so many years, and Rajeev was the unfortunate person to be my very first boss. And हम जब आज बात कर रहे थे about what we can do, and I thought, you're part of the fakest world ever.
The movie business.
Now, उसके अंदर दोस्तियाँ ढूंढना और friendships ढूंढना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. For the longest time, even when we would hang out before I became an entrepreneur, a lot of people always said, भाई तुम राजीव के साथ दोस्त हो, obviously तुम एक्टर बनना चाहते होगे, तुम्हारा कोई ulterior motive है, he's going to make you famous.
As if I could, but sure, it maybe people thought that. Yeah.
You're a star maker, and of course you could. This modesty thing is another
that's
matter.
Not true, but sure.
But I think one of the things which, and amongst the many ways that you mentored me and so many other people, जो एक बहुत अच्छा पहलू जो मेरे को लगता है वो ये कि you as a friend have been one of the most generous people I've ever met.
Thank you. But, I think in friendship, there is no such thing as generosity, right? In friendship, that shouldn't even, it's very generous of you to say that, but in friendship, you just want to see your friend thrive. You want to see your friend grow. And
No, but I was coming to the other part also, कि उसमें खुद की लग जाती है. When you become such a good friend, the trouble is I also know you will get taken for granted most of the time. People will just use you all the time. They will sometimes, and you're also the kind of person who will let people sometimes also, because you love them so much, you'll see the good side, you let them walk all over you all the time. होता है ऐसा?
No, I don't know. I think if it's a real friendship, then it works both ways, na? So you're also getting something. You're also getting you're getting friendship. You're getting loyalty. You're getting advice. You're getting. Some of my best friends are that. People that I turn to for wisdom. And some of them are maybe younger, but I just implicitly trust their wisdom. I trust their instinct. I know that, and I know that they're looking out for me. So I know that whatever they'll tell me, even if it's not what I want to hear, it's what I need to hear. And I think that's what it is about friendship, right? That you should just be able to know that they've got your back.
They've got your back. So the thing is, for me, I think Rajeev has been one of those very few people in my life who has been telling me, भाई तुम एक लड़का ढूंढ लो, settle down हो जाओ. And his advice to me as a friend for a long time has been, friends can fill one part of your life, but एक partner एक बहुत दूसरी चीज़ करता है. Now, I'm also saying that from the perspective we're living in a world where most friends don't really care. एक तो बॉम्बे में plans बनाना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है. Whenever we come back, हम कर कह सकते हैं, you can go for a movie, you can go for a dinner. There isn't that much you can really do. But Raji, very often when I was traveling in the north now, मैं cousins के साथ था, कहीं घूम रहा था, मेरे को सच्ची लगने लगा हमारी जो friendships हैं वो बहुत fake friendships हैं. Now, within our own setup, we think we're all there for each other, we love each other.
I don't think it's fake friendships. I think that, not every friendship is a deep, abiding, enduring friendship. You have some friendships which are, we hang out together because we have a good time together, but it's not meant to be. you're not promising anything else and you're not expecting anything more. So those are some kind of friendships. And then there are those that you just know that you will not, these are cliches, but cliches are cliches and stereotypes are stereotypes because they're rooted in some truth. And there are some friendships where you haven't spoken to someone for like days and months and weeks, but you pick up the phone and you know, because you want that comfort in the familiar, you just pick up the phone and you know there will be no gila shikwa, and you'll sort of smoothly kind of get right into it.
You and me are both the gila shikwa people, but we have the elephant's memories. मतलब we have dialogue अच्छे से बोल रहे हैं, पर हम अगर गुस्सा हो गए ना एक दूसरे से, we'll be the kind of people जो after 5 fights also remember
details,
that one thing कि उस time तुमने ये बोला था. I remember one time we were fighting about some stuff and whatever, and both of us have heard each other out, but we're trying to be very polite.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, for example, all my friends from Delhi and all, sometimes there are times when you just want to abuse each other. Say, तुम दिमाग खराब हो गया, but we don't do that in Bombay. We're very respectful, saying, you're hurting my feelings. I understand where you're coming from. Where you just want to show each other the middle finger, so दिमाग मत खराब करो.
Right.
Do you have those friendships?
A few. I think if there is that comfort and security in a friendship where you know that today I can just lose my shit, but I don't have to worry have I upset that person, or more importantly, has that person just said, "Fuck this shit, I don't need this friendship." If you don't have to worry about that, then I suppose you can have those friendships where you can say anything. And with you, I think we've got to that place. Like, there have been times when I've got really upset. I'm like, I'm not calling this guy up again. And you've sort of explained to me that isn't, but like I would be chill, and you've gone out of the way to actually, I think, on some level you're maybe a little bit more mature in some places. Certainly in our friendship, I think you've been the mature one. But I have those friendships where I mean, very few, but also, I think, and this is the thing about friendship, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm older. I'm significantly older than you. I'm 47. I have friends of all ages. I think when you get to a certain age, you realize that you actually only have like very few really solid, rock solid friendships. And while, because we're social animals, you have lots of friends, but that rock solid thing is only, a handful. You're very lucky if it's a handful.
I called Rajeev, I think 4-5 days ago. मैंने phone किया था and I said, Rajeev, मेरे को ना दोस्त बनाने हैं. I'm having a difficult time making more friends. And I remember Rajeev saying, I can't believe you of all people has a problem. I don't want to make friends who are garib.
That's okay.
I don't want to make friends who are people who I'm constantly thinking, मुझे कुछ चाहिए. I basically want to make friends today. I know it sounds very full of ourselves and narcissistic. But you also want to now enjoy being in a place in your life where you can just call your friends and let's go on a yacht. Let's go on a holiday. Let's do something. And कहीं ना कहीं, I know you've seen this in my life where अगर मेरी किसी से दोस्ती हो गई 4 दिन बाद मेरे को मैसेज आ जाएगा, यार मुझे कुछ पैसे चाहिए, या बाद में मैसेज आ जाएगा saying I need this. Where this is happening to me so much, I'm actually scared of making more friends. And you said something else the other way. So basically after 40 years, it's very hard to start making new friends.
My best friend told me that. My best friend who lives in Australia told me that the other day. He's like, he is the friend I reach out to for any advice and for everything, and we've been friends for over 20 years. And he said, yeah, at this age, and in that friendship, I'm the dramatic one. He said,
friendship, you are the dramatic one. In any.
So he said, yeah, after 40, it's very hard to make friendships. It's like, it's the old ones. These ones don't last. These are friendships of convenience. It's the enduring ones are the friends that you know for like 20 plus years. And I must have sort of passed it on, that secondhand advice, as very
which I thought was very, very profound. Okay, so between your best friend, the friend you're talking about who's in Australia,
yes,
and the wife. Okay, now who is the person, like the dirty secrets? The wife will know more or the best friend will know more?
Both actually. I have to say, I really have a great relationship with my wife. I have a great relationship with my friend. There are no dirty secrets.
I was just going to say, actually, yeah, there
is no, but also I want to tell you, I'm a bit of an oversharer anyway. First of all, there is nothing. It's the most boring life that there is. And whatever few sort of silly things there are, it's silly, it's not dirty. Kind of, it's pretty much everyone knows. I mean, you're restricting it to, like, who doesn't know? Like, I mean, anything. It's. I don't have, but it's.
Let's just have dirty secret, but he does.
You're making me sound you're making me sound more exciting than I am.
He does have silly secrets. Where I remember there are so many times where Rajeev, and there are so many times in the last year, I think both of us.
Yeah, my secrets are really bad. You know what kind of secrets I have? Like, I'm not allowed to buy more sneakers because there's no place in the house. So I will lie and say, and they're going to watch this, so it's going to get me into trouble. Like, oh, Paras gifted me these sneakers, and like really expensive sneakers. I'm like, who is going to gift you like sneakers, like $1 lakh rupee sneakers?
But what is your obsession with? Oh my God, Rajeev, okay, I'm going to say brand obsessed.
No, it's not brand obsessed. I'm a little bit a sneaker freak. I've become a little bit lately.
What are the shades? What are the shades you're wearing today? Where are they?
I mean, no, it's not that. So I'll tell you the sneaker thing. And I think maybe it's shades thing. Maybe it's all, when you get to a certain weight and size and shape where it's hard to pick the clothes that you like, then you start diverting your attention to other things to kind of, then your obsession becomes like sneakers and maybe shades or whatever. It comes from that.
We've gone for lunches, okay, and I don't wake up before 2 o'clock. We've gone for lunches because Rajeev ने मेरे को बोला है मेरे को lunch पे जाना है, मैंने ये चश्मा खरीदा है, मेरे को पहन के बैठना है उसको. So when he's saying all of this, I'm like, चलो, I know what's happening. I like how you mentioned the weight, and I'll tell you why. Someone like me, you've been in the public eye for years together, and even before we were shooting this, Rajiv came in and said, "Oh, I'm wearing normal clothes." I said, "It makes no difference. The kind of person you are, I hope nobody's watching our stuff for what we are wearing."
Better not be, certainly not in my case.
No, because Vanity was you know, that generation where we were, and I was somewhere in the middle of that broadcast generation. I very briefly pretended to be a journalist, all thanks to you only. But at that point, nobody cared about what you looked like. Today, I feel all of Instagram and you know what is only about vanity, where I am now, and me, you've known me for God knows how many years, 20 years now. I have begun to find that when I'm having conversations with people, they have nothing to add. Can you imagine? Where the focus is so much on what you wear. I know there are times when you have also talked about the fact that the biggest thing you've done last year, which I am so proud of as a friend, is that he started taking care of his health. Where you started putting.
After 47 years, I decided to go to the gym. Have you seen that? There's Mehuna. There's a scene in Mehuna in which Zayed Khan, who's a spoiled brat, goes to the college library for the first time. And when he goes to the college library, it becomes like a temple, and like there is like the ghantis are bajawing, and it's like because he stepped into the library for the first time. That is what it felt like to go to the gym for the first time in my life.
You know how proud I am of you, because not that he doesn't cheat. When we go out, or really, I have to still fight you tooth and nail on the menu of not eating rubbish. But I thought it was one of the best things you started doing for yourself, because I think uske baad we all realized, bhai, we have to take care of this, and I don't think you were ever vain from that perspective.
No, I don't think I've been
That
vain.
was no.
I mean,
I don't think that was ever your thing.
No, I mean, clearly, if I was, I would
but-
have not let myself go like this.
No, but when Rajiv talks about dirty secrets, he doesn't have dirty secrets, but the silly secrets are stuff like, and I keep laughing so often, saying you're like the 12-year-old high school.
No, yeah. The secrets are like
teenager.
I'll eat out with you, and then I have to go home and pretend like I haven't eaten, so I have to eat home food at home. Those are the that
secrets.
embarrassing.
I know. Now, okay, I want to ask you something very simple. Now, in the world of, I'll tell you why I wanted to ask you this, because some of us now are getting older, okay, and I take a lot of counsel from you, take a lot of advice from you. You and me are actually the same age. You realize that I'm 6 years younger than you. We're in the exact same
You didn't
bracket.
need to say that because no one would have believed it. You really you just shot yourself in the foot.
Exact same
That's not
age.
true,
Okay,
but it's very sweet of you.
now I want to ask you this, where you have a very healthy set of friendships. You've got a lot of people who've been in your life for like a long time, and I know you're very comfortable with a certain bunch of people, and these are people who know everything about you. I feel, as someone who does not want to get married, my social circle is becoming lesser and lesser and lesser. Right? I've not met Shraddha for years together now, okay? Because a lot of married couples like to hang out with other married couples. Very rarely do people want to do that. In my case, you know, I'm bisexual, which also means somewhere a lot of that also happens, where I'm hanging out with the guys and it's maybe a gay gang, or I'm hanging out with the girls and then they don't want guys there. Where most people don't realize someone in a position like this is finding it increasingly lonely. Now, I know we talk about a lot of fun stuff all the time in this, and I know I'm saying this because I know somewhere in your heart, for me, you look out as a friend saying, bhai, tum jab, you know, the one thing Rajiv has been saying to me for the past 20 years is, which he was very generous in saying, good looks will not last. So the assumption was I was good looking.
Yes.
But thank you for noticing.
Not an assumption, but sure.
But you know, he has always drilled that into my brain, saying the less you rely on the looks, the better your life will be. And I feel like even career-wise, because you put that in my head so much, this generation doesn't realize कि जो तुम दिखते हो वो 5 सेकंड के लिए वैल्यू करता है, उसके ऊपर तुम क्या करोगे. Now, from the friendship perspective, why is it becoming so difficult for me to make friends? Where do I do? What do I go? Should I go to Soho House like I asked you? I asked him this, should I go to Soho House? What do I do?
Wrong person to ask, because I'm not a big fan of Soho House, and I'm also the kind of person who really has no interest in making new connections and new network. I'm not the networking guy. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised you're saying that, but I think also you've got your guard up, right? Because if you're telling me that every time you make a friendship, you feel like you're constantly asking yourself, hey, you know, does this person want something from me? First of all, I think that's a really difficult and a cynical way to go through life. If every time you're making a friend, or every time you're meeting someone, and every time you're hitting it off, even as a friend, if you have to stop and wonder, does this person want something from me? Two things. One, it's a bit presumptuous and it's a bit arrogant to think that someone always wants something from me. At least that's how I look at it. And B, how do you then really give a chance to a new friendship or to a new connection if you're going to think like that always? I think this is true of friendship, and I think this is true of love and everything. I think you have to go in, but I'm that guy. I'm an all-in guy. I mean, like I trust. My default mode is love and trust. Lots of trouble I've got into.
I was gonna say
lots of trouble, but you know, it's the kutte ki dum. It doesn't. I go in with, and professionally, personally, everything. I go in trusting But you know what? I really think that is the other way is dangerous for me. I can't go in wary of people or go in wary of a friendship or a connection or professional sort of relationship, and then say let's see where it goes. Does someone want something? Because
But
how
people
you.
take a lot of advantage of you. I'll tell you the thing with Rajiv, okay? And this is
But
not a
I also want to say, I just really do want to say, we all love being victims in our own stories. So when we say people love taking advantage, I mean, from my perspective, I will always feel that way.
if I just mention, I don't have nice shoes, somehow Rajiv, they will just appear because Rajiv has sent something. If you mention around Rajiv that मुझे इसकी ज़रूरत है, कहीं ना कहीं से वो आपके पास आ जाएगा. Now, people like me will become more careful. I will stop saying that around you because I know you'd bring it. But it's also very easy for people to take advantage because कि Rajiv के सामने ऐसे बोल दिया, तो कहीं ना कहीं it'll be provided to you, and you do it with your full heart for everyone.
I mean, I think that's what friends do. I
No,
also
no.
think that. Okay, this is weird. Also, no, yeah. I mean, like, I am so emotionally dependent on my friends. I mean, I know. I mean, I can be a project. Yeah. I mean, it must be hard. So, I don't know. I think friendships you can't evaluate. Like, you can't. I did this. I did this for this.
Okay. I want to ask you one thing about work because yesterday when I put out a feel about, we're doing this with you, everything also changed in terms of how broadcast was, how we were on TV. I remember when, we used to do stuff on TV at that time where the whole idea was very different, right?
Yeah.
Everything was supposed to be more sort of formal.
Correct.
Ab to sab change ho gaya.
Yeah.
Now, also, when we first started and I knew you, that was the era of film critics. Ab wo sab change ho gaya. Now, anyone can sit and start doing anything where I feel like, there's somehow, it's like, when the blue tick went for everyone, they somehow
Lost value.
Lost value. Now, I feel like that lost value. Do you feel like somewhere this whole film stars are now not as valuable because you see them everywhere? There was this whole thing where everything felt bigger, where everything is accessible.
Social media and Instagram and the internet did it sort of democratized everything, right? It became an even playing field. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think what the flip side of of living in a time when everything was sort of exclusive to professionals is also that it became a bit insular, right? I mean, like, what if you were young and bright and bubbling and didn't have an opportunity to write for the Times of India, or didn't have an opportunity to be on Star or CNN IBN or whatever? I mean, how do you break out? And I think what the internet did is it gave everyone a chance to be a star. It gave everyone a chance to have a voice. The good ones will be, but that is true even back in the day. I mean, you even had critics or commentators who had professional jobs and who were not very good, and those people, not a lot of people necessarily patronized. And now, yes, the volume of sort of voices is much greater, because if you have a phone camera, you're a journalist, you're a critic, you're a reporter, you're everything, right? You're an influencer. So everybody's a critic today. But the truth is that only the good ones are the ones that people listen to. So I don't have a problem with the fact that everyone's have a voice. It's about being good at what you do. It's about having the loudest voice, and by loudest I don't mean the one who makes the most noise. I mean, like, the one who is able to be really good at what he does. Is to have a coherent, logical, sensible, real smart voice.
But the loudest voice now is the trolls. They are the ones who are the biggest critics, where they have something to say all the time. Like, are you concerned by that? I don't know.
I used to be when I was working in in the business of communication. Not anymore. I don't care. I mean, like, but it's a great humbling sort of experience. If you and this is what I learned. If you allow social media, if you seek your validation from that, from how many followers you have on Instagram and how many followers you have on Twitter and how people love you and they say all these nice things, then when the trolls come after you, then that also is then you will take that also seriously. It's just part of what it is. So it's easy for me to say now because I don't do that anymore and I don't care anymore. But it can get. I mean, and the lesson from there is, like, don't believe in this. Don't enjoy it, but don't make it your life, and don't believe in it because it's not real. It's not real. It's not. And again, it's very easy you will only learn this yourself. Yeah. You can have 100 people who tell you that, but you'll only figure it out when you figure it out yourself.
But this I got very lucky with. For some reason, you must have seen, I've never responded to comments. Yeah. I don't look at anything. I haven't followed
amazing.
People.
Or be that person who really doesn't care. And you don't care in the real world too. And I think that's what it is.
I genuinely
someone
don't.
That doesn't. Yeah. And that's a state of zen which I envy.
Yeah, which I genuinely don't, and I think it's been for me. It's come quite effortlessly because I was like, I really don't care. I'm having a great time, and
Yeah.
I'm a narcissist. If I'm looking nice, I'm putting up a photo, and I'm only
Yeah.
happy looking at it, and it's been really, really good. I wanted to ask you about, we were talking about how all of us now are. I think ever since Dad passed away, and I think you were one of the first few people I had a long chat with after Dad passed away. It took me a while to sort of get into this conversation. राजी पहली बार मेरे को ऐसा हुआ था, I was suddenly मैं अकेला पड़ गया. Now उसके बाद I think I've started thinking more about, and you've seen I've been very lucky to have a lot of success, and I've been very lucky to enjoy a lot of money now and whatever. But somewhere there's a part of me which has changed. A Paris would have done this conversation with 4 years ago, we would have just been laughing. That's not the Paris that it is today. In fact, I remember the Paris you knew 20
Yeah,
years ago. Every
yeah.
time I would start dating someone, and Rajiv was always one of my closest friends, and he was my boss, and he would say stuff like, listen, tell me the truth. How many people are you cheating on this person with, and this and that? And I was that person, and I've changed. But
Yeah.
after this, I think what I've begun to realize is, for example, we had somebody else who was on the show yesterday. A lot of people, and feel free to not talk about this if it's too personal, and we chop that off. A lot of people today, married couples, are saying, but we don't want children. It's not part of our future plan. So my biggest problem was, okay, if I'm not going to be able to get married, I can't make a family, I'm going to be alone forever. But I'm beginning to realize it's so normal now for everyone else. Then are we just playing the victim card? Like, why don't we want to have kids
It's
anymore?
a really personal choice. I do find a lot more. I mean, I do find a lot more friends that are choosing not to. I mean, yeah, for us it was very simple. I was like, yeah, we'll retire early. We'll travel the world. It doesn't look like we're retiring early.
Or
And it
traveling
doesn't
the
look like
world.
traveling the world. But yeah, I think it's just a personal choice. I think it's yeah.
But
I
like,
don't
you're
know.
there for your parents, right?
Yeah, of course.
That insurance you don't think about.
But I think that you should be in any case. I mean, even if you have kids, I mean, why would you not be there for your parents? I think you should be there for your parents anyway.
No, but that's what I mean. When we don't have children, we don't have that. We don't. What I mean to say is, my dad, when he was going through some stuff, he knew Paris was with him.
Right.
In my case, I'm not joking. When I have had some scares, I've called you and I've reached out to one or two of my other friends. That also then becomes that whole idea of your chosen family.
Yeah.
It is now the family that in the cities, which is there. Also with the internet and all, we all keep saying stuff like, I'm always there for you.
Yeah.
I'm there just a call away. But it doesn't really happen. I'm traveling half the world. If tomorrow you call me and say, hey, I've got this issue, I'll be like, listen, I'm sitting in Bali.
Yeah, that's a logistical problem.
Yeah.
But if you were here, you would be. I mean, like it's about, that's what I said. I mean, like if it's your core friends, if it's that core group or that core or that one enduring friendship, then you're always going to be available. And I don't think these things come in the way. My dad used to joke when we were younger, we were taking that decision to not have kids. Your other friends won't call you for parties. I'm not going to have a kid just so I get called for parties by other couples who have kids. But I don't think that's true. Yeah, I think I'm also a great uncle. Yeah, I'm a great uncle. When I say uncle, I mean like to the kids of my friends and to my cousins' kids and stuff. And I'm actually pretty good with kids.
We don't call couples who have children because they're very annoying and they're so loud. I mean, in our case,
that
that's
is
very
what the other-
different.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
what
I'm just like now, and I've only recently discovered I went through this phase that I want to have a baby. I don't think I want to do that anymore. Because they interfere first of all with your love life a lot. If you're single, secondly, did you know children are loud? Like
The
it
thing
is.
some of these things change as you get older. As you get older, as the looks fade, as the dating phase maybe ends, you found someone. I suppose it's also the natural thing. I mean, look at me sitting in saying this when when we chose not to have kids. But it's so personal. It's also you go through phases. I mean, I know there was a point where we're like, shit, did we shit? Should we have? And then you're like, but we can do a lot of other things that that other couples can't do because and we're saving so much in college tuitions and things like that.
But
So,
you're burning them up in sneakers.
yeah.
So
Yeah, might as well have had a kid.
you
now.
might as well have had a kid, yeah. What is your? I know you travel the world, and I know when I was a baby, I would look at you and I would think, saying, "Oh my God, this man!" You would be one suitcase out all the time
I was
somewhere.
so lucky that my job allowed me to do that. And I have to say, I'm so grateful for the opportunities to be able to have traveled. I used to cover a lot of sort of international cinema and Hollywood and stuff. And as a result of that, I really traveled and it was great. And of course, everyone loves traveling, but I love what I was doing while I was traveling. I was covering the Oscars, I was covering the Golden Globes, I went to the Cannes Film Festival, to Toronto, to Berlin. I really had some amazing opportunities. Most of which came to a grinding halt as I took on this new role and stopped being a journalist, which is fair because I think there's an age to travel that much. I mean,
Yeah.
literally there were times I was flying to LA for like 2 nights or one night sometimes and come back, and the next week I was in Hong Kong or Singapore for another interview. Or it used to get very tiring. Also because I was doing a job which required me to put out a review show every week, every Friday. So I had to, whatever I had to do, I had to juggle my life in such a way that I was able to come back on a Thursday, sometimes come back on a Thursday night, be able to watch the film on a Friday morning, be able to put out the show, and again go traveling on Saturday if needed be. So it was chaos, and it's right for it's okay when you're at a certain age, but as you get older, do you really want that? I don't miss that kind of traveling. I miss a little bit of traveling, but the fun thing is now I travel for pleasure.
For pleasure. I mean,
Yeah.
you do it so much more now because you're just like chilling, and it's quite nice actually. And it's really funny because whenever we go out, you would always have a whole bunch of people who will come and meet you. And you are the most awkward person I've seen when you're meeting people.
I think it's
You are almost like, can this moment just be
end,
done?
yeah,
What is up
yeah.
with that?
So I'm really embarrassed with people wanting to take pictures with me. I'm embarrassed taking pictures with, like, I'll meet Tom Cruise and I'm a huge fan, or I'll meet Mark Hamill, who I've watched growing up in Star Wars, and I'll be dying to, like, how do you make this permanent, and you want to take a picture. But yeah, I'm just terrible with pictures. I also somewhere I think now I just think, like, I think in my head I've only not been able to take it. And come on, I mean, it's so kind and so generous of people. Why do they want a picture, or why do they want to come say hi? Because they like your work. That makes me feel very good. That okay, something that you did, people connected with and people enjoyed. And but I've never understood. Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
because there are
I'm just
times when you're
awkward.
very savage, and I won't get into specifics of that, but there's a lot of stuff about you on the internet where you have these comebacks with some stars, and I watch it, and I'm just like, he had the right thing to say at the right time, and I think a lot of that people like, because see, at that time when we were doing it, the internet wasn't so big. Now a lot of that content is being rehashed where people like, dude, like that was such good thinking at that
Yeah.
time.
I think if you are someone who's commenting on films and on performances and stuff, then you have to. And it was on television, yeah. That's also performance.
Yeah.
So it has to be smart and funny, and has to, I suppose, grab some
Yeah.
attention.
I always wondered I was a kid at that time, and I feel that today with where we are, you and before you decided not to be a critic anymore, at that field you had maxed out, you had topped, right? What happens when you come to the point where you're at a profession where now you're at the top, where now you're like, I don't know what more I can do. And I remember you having the conversation once or twice saying, I don't know, what does one do next?
First of all, I don't think you can say topped, because I mean, who knows was I at the top of that? I mean, I felt like there was not a lot more I could do. I could be doing the same thing for longer, but there was not a lot more I could do, because I'd already been a journalist for more than 25 years. I'd been a critic for over 20 years. I was on television for about 17 and a half, 18 years by the time I left in 2020. It was not fun anymore. It was also the COVID year when I was watching everything on iPads, and the joy of being a film critic is to go to the theater every week and watch a film in a dark cinema hall and let it consume you, and then go back and write about it, or do interviews with people sitting across from an actor whose work you've enjoyed, or a director whose work you're a big fan of. All of that changed in 2020. So I think but by then, obviously, I was feeling some sort of fatigue. So when this happened, this became the final straw. I was just like, you know what? I don't think I want to do one more interview over Zoom. I don't think I want to watch one more film on an iPad and review it. And then even the review was no longer going to the set. You're sitting at home in your living room. I just felt like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore. And one was nervous because that's all one had done for your whole life in different mediums and in different publications and channels. But that's all I had done. But I was like, I think I'm done. I didn't know what the second act was going to be. I didn't know what the next role was going to be. But I was really lucky that this came along. And it's not like I wanted to be a talent agent or wanted to work at a talent agency. I'd never thought about that because I didn't have those skills. But it came, and I felt like the two gentlemen who were offering me that, which is Bunty Sajde, who runs Cornerstone, and Karan Johar, who runs Dharma Productions. They were getting into a joint venture, and I knew both of them for very long. Bunty was in college with me. I knew him from many years. As a teenager, we grew up in Kolaba. Huge respect for what he's built. And Karan, whose films and whose ethic as a producer, I always respected. So sort of said, come and do this. And you're like, if these are people I respect and they think I can do it, then I should give it a shot. And I just thought, and also COVID just made us also brave. Now you're like, come on, yeah, you don't know. So I said, if they think I can do it, maybe I should
Why
do
not?
it. And again, I really want to take this chance to say, so generous of them and so kind of them that they, when you're starting, uh, when you're shifting your career completely, when you're changing gears, you usually start at the bottom or you start somewhere in the middle. Like if you're going into a completely new stream which you have no idea of, they put me right at the top. I mean, it was really, and I kept wondering why. I've kind of now begun to understand what skills or what strengths they saw. It took me a while to understand, but at that time I was just going. I was being driven by their faith in me. I was like, if they think I can do it, I'm selling myself short. Maybe I can.
Because
And I
wherever
just took
wherever
that
we
leap
we
of faith.
went earlier, all the actors were always wanting to be around you because they wanted you to say good things about their films. Now all the actors want to be around you because they want you to put them in the right stuff. So the one thing consistently I've seen is how people have always, I think it's the stature that you build, right? Where people are like, but which is what we started with, saying the guy is a star maker. He's being humble and all is another matter.
No,
But
star
you're
makers
someone
is,
who,
is very, very generous, and
how
really
would
I
you
don't
put it?
think no, I don't think anyone's a star maker. I think you have, you really, but I hope, and I think that that's why I do what I do, because I think that if in any way, if in the smallest way, you can if as an agent, if as a film agent you're doing your job right, then in the smallest way, if you're able to actually affect someone's career and help shape their career, then how incredible is that? I mean, the stakes are so much higher in what I do today than what I did. I loved being a critic when I was, and I loved being a film journalist. But I feel like the stakes are very different and much higher, because now you're not just responsible for your own life and career. You're responsible for, if you do it right, you can actually play a role in shaping someone's career, and that is so amazing. Yeah.
I not without taking names, I've heard when you get a lot of calls from some very big stars on your phone, and I don't really listen, but if it's there, what I find very amusing in those conversations is you'll have these actresses or actors calling you who are big names, but when they talk to you, they sound like insecure babies and children. There are times I can see you hand holding them through almost, what is about that? Like,
But
because
I think that is the actor agent relationship, and if it's one that's built in trust, I think it is that. I mean, you are meant to handhold them. You are meant to sort of tell them, deliver the bad news very often. Savor the good news together, and very often make them smell the coffee. Just understand the reality of the times that we're in, because I think when you're an actor and when you're a public figure and you're as loved as they are, and as wanted as they are, and as coveted as they are, then it happens a lot that you tend to disconnect from the reality of the times. And I think it is your team or your agent's job to remind you where you are and what the times are, and how to just stay grounded sometimes. So it really it's a very specialized skill. And I think that I had some of those skills because I knew how to talk to actors. And in my previous job, I used to do roundtables. Sometimes I joke I was an agent before, or I was a manager before I got into the talent business, because those roundtables meant coordinating 8 or 9 actors to be at the same time at the same place. And the egos that fly are insane. So to be able to do that, and I did that for 10, 11 years before I did this, I was like, I can handle this. Except that it's not just that simple, right? It's not just about getting them to show up now. It's really about helping them navigate their careers and understand what they want to do in life and which direction they want to go in. They all have an idea of that. It's your job to be their cheerleader. It's your job to sort of to just make it slightly easier, and constantly kind of remind them why they do what they do.
and to give them a reality check sometimes. I'm
Yes,
sure you have
yes.
to also tell them, are they sometimes bigger stars in their head than they really could be? Because that must be an impolite conversation to have.
Yes, but I've also learned that if you don't believe that you are the biggest or the best actor since Marlon Brando, how are you going to convince that to the filmmaker that you're dying to work with? So I get that you have to first sell yourself to yourself to be able to sell yourself to someone else. So I get that. But sometimes what baffles me is the objectivity that actors are able to have about other people's careers and not their own. That's always a good laugh. But they're strange creatures. They are kids and they have to be sensitively handled. And the ones that are most in touch with reality are the ones that tend to go the farthest.
The younger ones are nicer to work with.
I never worked with the older ones. I mean, we work with
Yeah.
some of them, but the younger ones are sharp and they're savvy and they know how to use Instagram and they know how to. I mean, they're far smarter than all of us. But I think it's also important to remind them that that you're doing this because you love being an actor. You know, it's once in a while you just have to have those chats. But the young ones are actually pretty amazing. I mean, we work with a lot of the younger actors. They're driven, they're passionate, they work hard. They're all aware of what is good cinema that's being made outside. I think the earlier lot were very sort of content, you know, just doing what they do and being like big Indian, you know, Hindi film stars. I think the level of ambition with the younger actors is much more. I think they're willing to work harder. They have to do so much more. The pressure is a lot more on the younger generation.
I mean, I didn't think we were going to discuss acting, but now that we're on it, now every time we have gone out, and I actually, for some strange reason, when I'm with you, I don't put up so many stories because to most people, it still feels like it's a work hangout, and I'm just like, you know, we don't do so much of that.
Yeah.
But whenever I do, I think everyone goes out and says, yaar, main Instagram pe agar dikhunga na, they'll cast me more. And now you're literally in that place where you could be the best person. In fact, I'm also thinking, you know, again, not like, you know, the best part about this today is you're in just the right position to be able to explain to people, does Instagram really make you a star today?
I don't think Instagram can make you an actor. You want to be an influencer and you're able to have a personality and have, you know, something to say about food or about travel or about luxury or about skincare, then you'll be an influencer. But I think people, I mean, I think you'll get, if you're here to be an actor and you want to be an actor for the right reasons because you love to act, then I think it's going to take more than Instagram. It complements what you do once you become an actor. It complements you to become the star. It complements you to have a big fan following. It's a great tool to be able to, you know, showcase your work out to, you know, billions of people. But I don't think actors are being cast out of Instagram, or I don't think, not for the right reasons anyway. You know,
if someone is an Instagrammer, does that almost take them off the race saying, no, this person's too overexposed? Because I know with TV that used to happen
I'll
earlier.
tell you why. Sometimes, because I think with Instagrammers, what happens with influencers and Instagrammers is that what are you meant to do? You're meant to be yourself, right? You're meant to be more of yourself, and you're meant to be able to show what a great personality you have and how much fun you can be. What are you meant to do as an actor? The exact opposite. You're meant to become somebody else. So a lot of Instagrammers and influencers are so focused on being themselves that they don't know how to act. It's a completely different job. There's no rule that says that a good influencer can't be a good actor. But I think that the trainings are very different. We have to recognize that. I don't think that being a great number one influencer means you're going to be a good actor. No. And it works both ways. You know, when you're a big star, you are an influencer because you're just a big star. But acting is a skill that has to be learned, acquired, honed. And that you might be cast because you've got a lot of, you've got lots of Instagram followers, but you will still have to train. And there are so many, right? I mean, like, look at Prajakta, who's just such an incredible talent in terms of, but you know, she's also she wasn't just an influencer. She was a creator. Bhuvan, all of these guys have done. I mean, Sumukhi, you know, she's a comic, a great friend, and Kusha. I mean, all of these guys have been able to sort of cross over to some degree, but they're completely different skills.
So if a young creator, now actually it's great when you're saying Sumukhi, Kusha, all of these people. Now these are all creators, they're all popular faces.
Yeah.
If someone like that reaches out to you guys and say, hey, I want to do this, that means technically they are you can do something with them.
Yes, and we represent some of them. We represent Sumukhi, who's amazing. But you know, so I mean, it's wrong on my part to even describe her as an influencer. She's a creator. She's a talent.
Comic,
she's a writer. She's a comic. She's a producer. She's an actor. She's all of those things, and she's proven every one of those things. Her show Pushpavali which she wrote and created and starred in it's you know, I read a lovely meme. Baby reindeer could run because Pushpavali walked. I mean, you know, Pushpavali was a show about a female stalker, and it's you know, so we had our own baby reindeer before baby reindeer came along, and she's amazing. So yes, you can do a lot of work with influencers, and I think that the sweet spot is when you find someone that has that level of you know, that footprint, in that Instagram footprint, but someone who's also able to translate into an actor. And you know, someone like Prajakta has done that to some degree.
And can anyone do this without representation today?
I think you can. I think what representation does, and I think if you have a great agent, then that agent is it's never just about finding the work. It's also about helping you decide that the work that's coming to you, what if that is the work worth doing and what if that isn't? Because what is the larger goal? What is the long-term goal? If it's just about selecting this project or that project, most people will make up their mind on their own. And actors are very smart and they're able to make up their mind. It's about, does this project help take me to that final goal that we've identified for ourselves? Or is this going to just be a flash in the pan and I'll be back to square one after this? I think having representation is meant to be more than just getting you work. It's about shaping a career. It's about sort of the bigger picture.
when you're saying shaping your careers, like, I mean, before we wrap, last day, I wanted to ask you, because again, I mean, I actually really like a lot of the input you're saying, because I know a lot of, in my head, my trigger brain was thinking a lot of people will watch this because they want to be
I
actors.
hope so, yeah.
But a lot of, I have to be honest with you. In fact, while we're also doing this, the amount of conversations you and I have off camera are always, there's so much more, because, there's so much more happening there. But the
And
one
there are no
thing,
filters also,
yeah, there are no
right? Yeah.
filters. But when you talk about this larger life plan now, when I look about at you, when I look at today myself in some degree, I feel like, I am today at the place I sort of wanted to be at. I know for a fact that you've been at that place for a long time. You've been content. There's always more you want to do. And it's interesting. But, like you're at a place where you feel like I've arrived. I've started to think about this a lot more today, saying, what is it that I really want from my life? When I think about the cars, I can go and buy the most expensive car today. It won't make me happy. And I choose not to do it. I'm never in Bombay. Houses, I live in a beautiful house. I have a lot of properties. And when I'm speaking to more and more people who are successful, I was watching some documentary about, what 100,000 brain scans tells you. Your degree of happiness from work and jobs and what your ambition today is deeply different from what it was even 20 years ago when I met you. But now when I start thinking about this, I am now, to ask someone who's very successful, this question makes sense, saying, what will make us happier? Because there are days when, Rajeev, there are a lot of people who will look at your life and my life and say, these guys have everything. And then there'll be days when like, I'm just so irritated today. So what will make us happy?
The truth is that you, professionally and personally, you're going to have good days and bad days. And I think that as long as you feel you're in the right place and you're doing more or less what you love and you're working with people, and it's true about life as well, that you're around people that have got your back. You're around people that you can trust. I think the rest is a roller coaster. It'll be good and bad. But I think in a post-COVID world, and I don't want to milk this, but I had a bad COVID experience where I it was bad, and I kind of almost didn't make it, and then I did, thankfully, because of the love and prayers of people. I think what it's taught me is I really want to be around people that I love. I really want to be loved, and I want to be around people that I love dearly, my family, my friends, even people at work. I love very easily. Have you come back to the thing? I really do love very easily. When people send emojis, my most used emoji is the heart. And apparently there are different colors of heart emojis, because people will send me a white and a green. I don't know how you get a white and a green. I always send that red heart. And sometimes, my friends say like, you don't send a red heart to like a friend or a friend's mother or someone who's messaged you. I'm like, but I only know that. So I think that I'm going to sound like a real mush pit, but love is really all there is, in everything. I mean, even if I don't love my job and I don't love the people I work with, I could have professional setbacks. Things may not have gone according to plan, but if I just love the people that I'm working with, and I mean that about the actors that I work with, and I mean that about the colleagues that I work with, if I don't love my family and we're not invested in each other's growth, and I don't love my friends, and if I'm not looking out for them, and they're not, and I don't feel like they're looking out for me and that they want me to be in their lives, then what are you doing? Then that is, I think I'm an old soul. As most older people will tell you, in the end, I think you really measure your value and your worth by the love that's in your life.
But your love language is very difficult and it's very tricky to understand, Rajeev.
Yeah.
You're, as a friend, oh my God, you want to just spell out for anyone what your expectation as a friend is. If I fight with you, what are you expecting out of me?
You're right. I mean, I've often been told that you're intense. I'm an intense friend, but I want to say, and I genuinely hope that you will agree as well, and I hope that anyone that is my friend will agree. I don't expect anything more than I'm willing to give. I mean, it's never skewed that I expect more than I'm willing to give in terms of affection and time and energy and patience and all of that. I mean, like, I don't expect, I'm a damn good friend. I don't know if I'm a damn good kid. I don't know if I'm a damn good son. I don't know if I'm a damn good husband. I don't know if I'm a damn good boss. I'm a damn good friend. I think I'm a damn good boss. I'm also, I really am a very, very good friend. And, but I don't know any other way to be.
He also does, Rajiv and me, we are obviously old school, where we have this habit of like giving choto things to each other constantly, and it's never about the gift, it's always about the note. Okay?
Yeah.
You're one of the very few people. I will give you some random gift, but the note I will have paid grave attention to.
Yeah.
And if I meet someone who takes the gift and just flicks the note, I'm like, hello,
Oh my God, I've had some situations where like somehow and what about I love what you gave me, and I was like, but what about the note? Huh? I was like, I took a lot more trouble on that.
Which is more important, right? Where the sentiment
Always, it's
is,
always a
it's
sentiment.
always
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
And I like I said, I'm all in. So my notes are like, I mean, I'll really, it's a dam bursting. I'm intense.
I collect a lot of notes, like a lot of my friends give me. For some reason, I'm always writing notes to people, and which I think is really
It's so
interesting.
lovely and it's so personal and it's so heartfelt because that is something that I wouldn't do for everyone,
Now,
right?
I was talking to this about with my therapist. You and me are bougie or very whatever without realizing it. If you get a gift, why do you care about the note? You're also someone who has everything you want. So the material aspect of what I'm giving you is not important to you. But if you're someone who is not arrived in life and I gift you a microwave, your first intention is, oh my God, I have a microwave to now finally use. And she
The thing is,
explained it to me so
because I
beautifully.
put so much trouble into writing a note, for me, someone writes me a note like I'm already your friend.
You're
Like,
already,
I
yeah,
will give
yeah,
you my
yeah,
kidney
yeah.
tomorrow. Like, you can ask me now.
Now, this is not about Stud Muffin and it's not about Prachar, but I love that so Rajiv came here on, I think, his birthday,
Yes.
right? And we had to meet and something came up and we wanted to meet briefly and
Yeah.
something. And you were coming and what do you gift Rajiv? It's like when people say, Paris, what do you gift you? I understand. That's why I gave him a crystal for some strange reason, thinking you will not care two hoots about it. I thought he's going to make his face and be like, I thought you're going to be your polite, bitchy self and be like, wow, how amazing. But you really liked it.
I really,
Now,
I really love the bracelets I have, and I'm now this is going to be embarrassing because I don't know, I don't remember, I don't know what they're called, right? But I
Yeah.
know I have one which is for peace and calm, which broke the first week, and of course you said that's a sign, and then you give me another one, and I protect that one the most because
the
peace
most.
and calm is very important.
But more than the crystals and more than stud muffin, what I was trying to get at was you also realize that also is somewhere signifying a change where you feel like there's some stuff we can't control. And these things, why is it that we latch on to God and spirituality and this and
You know,
that?
when
Because you feel
when
like,
things don't always go according to plan, and when things don't go in the way that you imagined, then sometimes I suppose you do, you do look for help, and help in I
in
mean
any
in
way.
ways that, okay, maybe this will sort your life out. It's doing the one you gave me, which is for money, is working quite well. I have to say, I have no complaints, but I know that the peace and calm one, and the one about relationships and love will also start kicking in soon.
So I gave pyrite to Rajiv and I didn't think he would care much. But he said, oh, but I'm getting some work, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a lapis lazuli and I've been waiting for a compliment. I've been like this the
It's
whole
really,
time.
I have to say, it's very smart. It's just not, it's too stylish for me. It's too overwhelming for me.
What
I could
about my
not wear that.
shirt?
The shirt is really cool. The other day you wore a red one. I love the stud muffin
These
shirts.
are the stud muffin shirts.
I totally recommend them. If you ever do a 4XL, I'm in.
Now I've moved on to marketing, but I want to wrap this up and I wanted to ask you one thing, which is I have to confess, even when I'm doing this, I've absolutely realized if you were not one of my dearest friends, and if I had Rajeev Masand on my couch, I would have been better prepared. I would have thought a lot more. It would have been this big opportunity, but because you're such a good friend of mine, मैंने बहुत हल्के में लिया है.
No, but this was so
But you know what I
breezy.
mean? Where you take a friend for granted. But
Yeah.
I've realized actually my most beautiful conversations with you are the way they are.
Yeah.
But what I ask you is, which I know is something which is, I'm going through that and you know all about it, where I'm going through perhaps the worst kind of a thing, which is a friend's breakup. A relationship breakup you can deal with. Your friends will tell you that guy was rubbish for you, this chick was rubbish for you, da 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 da. I think having friends you have loved and trusted and given your all to, in my case, you know my situation, without taking names. And now we had not spoken for months together. And I know you ask me very often, like, how can someone who is so relevant to you, does that person not care anymore? You think a friend's breakup is harder? Have you ever gone through it yourself where you realize someone who is so important, where you love them more than life itself, and there's like it doesn't matter to them? And why is it a friend breakup is so difficult if you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think the friend breakup is the hardest because, actually, um, friends are the people that I mean, if it's a good and honest friendship, then actually you're exactly who you are in front of friends. Even when it comes to a partner, especially when you're dating a partner, you're still trying to put up your best side. So I mean, unless you put a few years in that relationship with a partner, they haven't seen all of you. Friends mostly see all of you. So I feel like one is sometimes closer to friends, and that is the purest form of one of the purest relationships. I think that really hurts because you have to ask, was it all a lie? Was it even a friendship? If it means nothing to the other person, was it just me who was this invested, and was the other person as invested in this friendship? So and the possibility that the answer is, yeah, it was just you, it was just one sided. I think that is heartbreaking, right? And that is so difficult to come back from, because if that's a friendship that you've believed and went all in, then it's horrible to discover that, well, it was only you who were all in. It wasn't what you were thinking. So it is the friendship breakup is the hardest, and who hasn't been through that?
I mean, I've definitely been through it. It's been worse to me than my actual breakups. But also, you and me are also the kind of people who also don't make it easy for friends to come back into our lives. Where if someone does something, you're like, why are you bringing this up? If they don't do something, you're like, why didn't you do it? Basically, Rajiv and me keep laughing about this thing. Basically, when I hate you, there's nothing you can do, right? Because anything you do is going to piss me off much more. But secretly, you want people to reach out to you.
Yeah, I suppose.
And how does somebody reach out to you and make you let them? Everyone's love language is different, Rajiv. How does someone let you know?
But but I think, again, if you're really good friends, if you're really close, then you know the other person, right? You know the other person very well. I'm a good judge of at least the people that I know very well, or that I'm really close to and stuff. So I know you'll find a way. I would find a way. If I've hurt someone, if I've upset, we've had fights, and I know how to find my way back, and I know what will. And when that doesn't happen, that's when you wonder whether it means as much to the other person, right? It's the hardest, the shocker is always that, shit, it didn't mean as much to the other person. There is nothing more heartbreaking than discovering that what meant so much to you meant so little to the other person. What
do you do with that then?
I'm
walking away.
There are those 7 stages of grief, I think. I don't know. It hurts, and Instagram is great. Yeah, it throws up algorithms depending on what you're reading. And it's funny. I read somewhere that the Instagram algorithm knows me better than my friends. I think that's true. It says it'll hurt and hurt and hurt and hurt, and one day it won't. I'm waiting for that one day. You're waiting for that one day.
I'm waiting for that one day. I was just going to be like, I think Rajiv is feeling a lot of sympathy pain, because I think he's heard so much of my stories that he knows what it is, and he keeps telling me about all.
You're an amazing friend, and anyone who's not able to see that, their loss.
Don't you love this podcast? I get to be narcissistic. I get to call the most important people and then make it all about me.
Got you.
And I think I was just like, yeah.
We can't cry.
I was just going to say, I have so much more. No, not cry. Oh God, I've had these horrible things where Rajiv and me, one day we were sitting someplace, okay, and I'm going to share this if it's okay. We were sitting and Rajiv was going to some personal whatever. So we're sitting in a restaurant, okay, and he's holding my hand, and he's having this very teary-eyed moment. He's crying.
Now, I don't know. This is not good for my...
Now, while he's crying, a very cute boy walks into the restaurant. So obviously, between one of my closest friends crying and the cute boy, I'm going to look at the cute boy.
This has to be cut. This has to be cut.
And I've just moved on. Now you know why it's so difficult to talk to Rajiv, because we have to censor so much, and that happens between friendships where you know so much. All right. Yeah. I've had fun. I hope you have had a great time, as you always say, suffering this.
I really enjoyed myself being on this podcast. I love chatting with you, Paras, and it really didn't feel like an interview. It felt like just talking like we always do.
If this is him being kind, if this was still back in the journalism days and this was my boss, he would have come back to me and said, what rubbish have you done with the most important person? This is the crap you asked him. He's just being generous. So I'm glad you got to suffer this, but I'm always happy to spend time with you. And I'm noticing you're not wearing your crystals today. Fine.
Yes, I know. I walked out of the house without I put them on right after this.
Sachi, what is the podcast called?
It's called the Big Pucchi Podcast, and I watch it religiously.
De do Big Pucchi. He actually gave it. So cute.